Imagine you're standing on the rugged shores of the Orkney Islands in northeastern Scotland, the wind howling around you, carrying with it the sharp scent of salt and seaweed. The waves crash violently against jagged cliffs, sending icy spray into the air as mist begins to roll in from the water, shrouding everything in a ghostly gray. The locals have warned you about the dangers of venturing too close to the sea on nights like this. They speak of something lurking just beneath the surface, something ancient, malevolent, and unspeakably cruel. As the light fades and the chill seeps deeper into your bones, you can't help but glance nervously at the shifting shadows in the mist. Every sound, a distant splash, the moaning of the wind, feels loaded with menace. It's as if the sea itself is alive, watching, waiting. And in that moment, you start to understand why the people here still whisper about the Nuckelavee, the monster said to rise from these very waters. In Orcadian and Scottish folklore, this is a creature that defies imagination, a monster so horrifying that even its name is rarely spoken aloud. This is the story of the Nuckelavee, the skinless centaur of Scottish folklore. Long before the Orkney Islands were touched by human hands, their rugged landscapes and tempestuous seas were the domain of forces far older and far darker. These windswept shores carried whispers of ancient beings, and among them, none was feared more than the Nuckelavee. Islanders spoke of it with hushed voices, afraid even to name the creature, for fear it might hear and emerge from the depths. The Nuckelavee, also known as the Devil of the Sea, was born from chaos itself, a monstrous punishment unleashed on those who dared defy the natural order. Some believed it was a creation of vengeful sea gods, angered by humanity's arrogance in claiming the land and sea as their own. Others saw it as a curse, a manifestation of the ocean's wrath, sent to remind mortals of their frailty. Regardless of its true origin, one thing was clear: the Nuckelavee was not a tale spun merely to frighten children. It was a living nightmare that haunted the Orkney Isles for generations. The islands themselves were as much a character in this tale as the monster. The Orkneys, with their barren cliffs and churning gray seas, were places of stark beauty and raw power. Life here was a delicate balance, the islanders' survival dependent on their relationship with the ocean. It provided them with fish, trade, and life itself, but it could also turn in an instant, bringing storms, famine, and death. The Nuckelavee represented the darker side of that balance, a creature that blurred the lines between myth and the very real dangers of the sea. For much of the year, the people believed themselves safe, protected by the myther of the sea, a benevolent spirit who kept the monster imprisoned beneath the waves. But winter told a different story. As the days grew shorter and the nights longer, her strength would wane and the Nuckelavee would rise. Cold winds carried its stench ashore, and the thick sea mist cloaked its movements. The islanders would light their homes, bar their doors, and pray for summer to return, hoping they would not catch its eye. Some say the Nuckelavee's origins were tied to humanity's sins, a punishment for overfishing, polluting the waters, or burning peat that choked the skies. Others insisted the monster predated humanity, a relic of an older world where chaos reigned supreme. But for those who lived in the shadow of its legend, the why mattered far less than the how. How could they survive another winter with the Nuckelavee stalking the shores? The Nuckelavee is a creature of pure nightmare, a twisted amalgamation of man and beast that defies reason. A creature that resembled a centaur, if that centaur were twisted, flayed, and disfigured beyond belief. To lay eyes on it is to see terror incarnate, a vision so horrifying that few who've encountered it have survived to speak of it. Those who have lived long enough to share their stories describe a monstrosity so grotesque it chills the soul. Its lower half is that of a massive horse, but not the kind one might imagine pulling a plow or galloping through green fields. This horse is flayed, its skinless body exposing raw muscles and sinews that glisten as though slick with blood. Veins as thick as ropes pulse visibly, pumping dark blood through its unnatural form. Its long legs end in hooves that burn the earth wherever they strike, leaving charred imprints as if the ground itself recoils from its presence. But the horror does not stop there. Rising grotesquely from the horse's back is a humanoid torso, its elongated arms dragging along the ground as it lumbers forward. The torso's head is monstrously oversized, its single, glowing eye glaring like a coal stoked too hot. The other eye socket is a blackened void, lifeless yet consuming, as if it hungers for something unseen. Its mouth stretches impossibly wide, a jagged maw filled with yellow, splintered teeth that seem built for tearing flesh and bone alike. Its hair hangs in long, wet clumps, dripping seawater with every step. The smell of decay clings to it, an overwhelming stench of rotting flesh mixed with the briny tang of the ocean. But perhaps most horrifying of all is its breath, a toxic, mist-like vapor that seeps from its mouth, carrying disease and despair wherever it spreads. The mere act of inhaling this cursed air can bring sickness and death, and those who see the Nuckelavee up close rarely live long enough to warn others. Every aspect of the Nuckelavee is an affront to nature, its very existence a cruel violation of the natural order. It's a creature of the sea, yet it moves on land with the grace and speed of a predator. Its deformed body seems built for destruction, and its appearance alone has driven people to madness. In many ways, the Nuckelavee doesn't just kill, it unravels the mind, leaving its victims broken in more ways than one. To see the Nuckelavee is to face something that shouldn't exist, something that gnaws at the edges of sanity. It's not just a monster, it's the very essence of horror, brought to life. The Nuckelavee is more than just a horrifying creature. It's a force of pure malice, driven by a hatred so deep it seems almost personal. Unlike many other legendary beasts, the Nuckelavee isn't bound by instinct or survival. It doesn't hunt to feed or protect its territory. It exists solely to spread misery and destruction, as if its very purpose is to remind humanity of its vulnerability. When the Nuckelavee emerges from the sea, the land itself suffers. Crops wither in its presence, their leaves curling and blackening, as though scorched by an invisible fire. Livestock, seemingly healthy one day, collapse the next, their bodies riddled with disease that spreads like wildfire. Wells and streams become tainted, their waters undrinkable, forcing entire villages into desperation. The Nuckelavee doesn't need to touch a soul to ruin lives, it simply has to exist. Yet its wrath isn't indiscriminate. The Nuckelavee harbors a deep-seated grudge against humanity, particularly those who dare to challenge nature's balance. Burning peat, a common practice in Orkney to fuel fires, is said to infuriate the beast. The smoke that rises into the sky is thought to be a direct affront to the creature, as if humanity's attempt to tame the elements is an insult it cannot abide. Stories abound of villages that were razed simply because their chimneys released too much smoke into the cold winter air. The creature is not mindless, however. Its malice is intelligent, deliberate. It seems to take pleasure in its cruelty, as though the suffering it inflicts fuels its existence. Islanders tell tales of the Nuckelavee stalking its prey for days, appearing in the distance to sow fear and panic before finally striking. Those who have felt its glowing eye upon them describe an unbearable pressure, as if the air itself thickens and the ground trembles beneath their feet. At night, the Nuckelavee is at its most dangerous. It moves silently despite its size, its elongated arms trailing behind it like the claws of some ancient predator. It can be relentless in its pursuit, and there's no reasoning with it. Once it has chosen a target, escape is nearly impossible. The Nuckellavee's hatred for humanity is deep, and its every action seems to reflect its disdain for life itself. It's as if the creature exists to punish, to remind mortals that their control over the world is fragile at best. Its cruelty is not random. It's calculated, precise, and deeply rooted in a sense of vengeance that no one fully understands. Hey everyone, just a quick intermission here. I wanted to say thank you for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. Did you know that over 80% of you who are watching right now aren't subscribed to the channel? If you've enjoyed this content so far, it would be incredible if you could hit that subscribe button. It's a small gesture, but it really helps the channel grow and ensures that you won't miss any more of our fascinating stories we explore together. Also, if you're feeling generous, please give this video a thumbs up leave a comment, and share with anyone else who may enjoy it. Your support really does make a difference and keeps the content coming. Thanks again, and let's get back to the story. The Nuckelavee doesn't discriminate when it comes to its victims. Its wrath has touched all walks of life. Fishermen, farmers, travelers, and entire villages have felt the weight of its fury. Yet, the reasons for its attacks remain as mysterious as the creature itself. It seems to act on instinct and malice, punishing anyone who dares to exist within its reach. For the people of the Orkney Islands, survival often feels like a fragile dance around the creature's unpredictable moods. Fishermen are among the most common victims, their work drawing them dangerously close to the Nuckelavee's domain. Stories abound of boats disappearing without a trace, swallowed by storms said to be conjured by the beast. Those who venture out in the mist often return with tales of an oppressive chill and the stench of decay, signs that the Nuckelavee had been near. Some never return at all, their boats found days later, smashed against the cliffs. Farmers are no less vulnerable. The Nuckelavee's ability to poison crops and livestock has devastated communities, leaving them with nothing but barren fields and rotting carcasses. Even travelers passing through the Orkney Islands have not been spared. The dense mists that roll in from the sea are perfect for concealing the beast, and many an unwary soul has vanished into the fog, never to be seen again. Those fortunate enough to escape tell of an overwhelming sense of dread, as though the very air thickened with malice. Some claim to have heard the distant thud of hooves, growing louder and closer before vanishing altogether. The geography of the Orkney Islands plays a significant role in the Nuckelavee's legend. This remote archipelago in northern Scotland is a land shaped by extremes. Its jagged cliffs and windswept moors provide an eerie backdrop to the creature's tale, while its turbulent seas and hidden inlets make the perfect lair for something as monstrous as the Nuckelavee. The island's isolation adds to the sense of vulnerability, with no means of escape once the creature begins its hunt. Certain areas are more closely tied to the Nuckelavee than others. The mist-shrouded shores and secluded coves are said to be its favorite spots, places where the boundary between land and sea blurs. Villagers avoid these areas, especially during the long winter nights when the beast is most active. Despite the passage of time, the geography of Orkney has not changed enough to erase the marks of the Nuckelavee's presence. The cliffs still bear the scars of storms attributed to the beast, and the mist rolling in from the sea still carries an air of menace. For the islanders, the land and the legend are inseparable, each feeding into the other to create a sense of unease that lingers even on the brightest of days. The victims of the Nuckelavee's wrath are not just individuals, they are entire communities, their stories etched into the memory of the islands. Each loss, each devastation, becomes another chapter in the ongoing narrative of a creature that refuses to be forgotten. For those who live in its shadow, the Nuckelavee is more than just a monster. It is a constant reminder of the delicate balance between survival and surrender. To call the Nuckelavee powerful feels like an understatement. It is an unstoppable force, a walking calamity capable of devastation on a scale that defies reason. Its abilities, both physical and supernatural, make it a creature that cannot be challenged, let alone defeated by mortal means. The Nuckelavee's most infamous weapon is its breath, a toxic mist that spreads sickness and decay wherever it lingers. Villages that fall within its path report an almost instant blighting of their crops, with plants blackening and rotting within hours. Livestock, even those kept indoors, often fall ill, their bodies swelling grotesquely before succumbing to death. Worse still, humans who breathe in the foul vapor experience unbearable symptoms, burning lungs, feverish delusions, and an inevitable decline into death. It's said that the creature doesn't even need to step foot in a village for its breath to do its work. The wind can carry its curse miles inland. The sheer physicality of the Nuckelavee is another terrifying aspect. Its massive frame, built for destruction, is stronger than any beast known to man. It has been described breaking down stone walls with a single blow, trampling entire herds of cattle underfoot, and even dragging small fishing boats ashore just to shatter them into splinters. The ground seems to tremble under its weight, and its movements, while unnaturally fluid for such a grotesque form, carry an air of predatory intent that unnerves even the bravest. Speed is another of its lethal traits. Despite its size and appearance, the Nuckelavee is unnervingly fast. Many tales speak of it outrunning horses, its hooves striking the ground in a rhythm that echoes like thunder. Once the creature has spotted its prey, escape is nearly impossible. Its pursuit is relentless, and its speed ensures that even the swiftest runner or the fastest horse has little chance of survival. And then there's the eye, the burning, coal-like eye that is said to paralyze those who meet its gaze. Survivors describe the feeling of being rooted to the spot, their muscles locked in place as if gripped by an invisible force. It's not just fear that holds them, it's the Nuckelavee's power, a supernatural command over its prey that renders them utterly defenseless. That singular glowing eye is more than a weapon. It's a promise of death, an unblinking assurance that there is no escape. Even the sea itself seems to bend to the Nuckelavee's will. Storms follow in its wake, waves rising unnaturally high as if driven by its malevolence. Fishermen speak of their boats being tossed violently against the cliffs, the winds howling with an almost sentient fury. Some believe the Nuckelavee can summon these tempests at will, using the very ocean as an extension of its rage. But perhaps the most chilling aspect of the Nuckelavee's powers is its apparent invulnerability. No weapon forged by man has ever been known to harm it. Blades shatter against its fleshless body, and fire seems to have no effect on its wet, glistening form. It moves through the world as an unstoppable force, immune to the efforts of those who would dare to stand against it. This invincibility only deepens the despair of those who encounter it, leaving them with the terrible knowledge that there is nothing they can do but flee. For all its terrifying power and seeming invincibility, the Nuckelavee is not without its vulnerabilities. These weaknesses, though few and far between, have offered a glimmer of hope to those desperate enough to stand against it, or at least to survive an encounter. The most well-known and often cited weakness of the Nuckelavee is its aversion to freshwater. It is said that the creature cannot cross rivers or streams, as if the purity of freshwater acts as a barrier it cannot breach. This peculiar limitation has saved countless lives, with islanders fleeing to the nearest flowing water to escape the beast's relentless pursuit. Many folktales recount villagers leaping into icy streams, just as the Nuckelavee's clawed arms reached for them, only to see the creature recoil with a scream of rage as it was forced to halt its chase. The reliance on freshwater barriers has shaped much of the Orkney Islands' folklore and survival tactics. Families living near rivers would go to great lengths to keep their waters unpolluted, believing that even the slightest taint might weaken the stream's protective power. In some stories, freshwater isn't just a boundary. It's described as a purifying force, one that the Nuckelavee cannot bear to touch. Whether this aversion is born of its origins in the sea or its unnatural nature is a question that remains unanswered. Another crucial limitation of the Nuckelavee is its seasonal activity. While its terror is unmatched during the cold months, it is bound to retreat back into the depths of the ocean with the return of spring and summer. This cycle is credited to the Myther of the Sea, the benevolent spirit believed to hold dominion over the waters. Her influence grows stronger as the seasons change, forcing the Nuckelavee back into its watery prison. For the islanders, the arrival of summer is more than a reprieve from winter. It's a time to breathe freely, knowing the beast has been driven away for a few precious months. There are also whispers that the creature fears sunlight. While most accounts of the Nuckelavee describe it emerging at night or during overcast, misty days, few speak of it under a clear sky. Some believe the sun's rays weaken the beast, much like the freshwater it avoids. However, no one has dared test this theory, and the stories that suggest it are often dismissed as wishful thinking. After all, it's far easier to believe in the safety of sunlight when the creature's true horrors are hidden beneath the cover of darkness. Still, these weaknesses are far from guarantees of safety. The Nuckelavee's avoidance of freshwater offers no protection to those too far from a stream, and the seasonal cycle only ensures a temporary respite. For those living in its shadow, the best defense is vigilance, listening for the telltale sounds of its approach and knowing when to flee. And while some may cling to the hope that its aversions make it vulnerable, the creature's sheer malice and strength ensure that survival is never certain. So here we are, standing at the end of this chilling tale. As the mist clears and the dark waters calm, one thing remains certain. The Nuckelavee is more than a creature of legend. It's a reminder of the unpredictable forces that humankind has always feared, those untamed corners of the world where reason holds no sway. Stories like this linger for a reason. Maybe it's the raw terror they inspire, or perhaps it's the truths they reflect about our own vulnerabilities. The Orkney Islanders understood the delicate balance of life on the edge of nature's fury. Through the Nuckelavee, they gave form to that fear, crafting a warning that still sends shivers down spines. And while the modern world moves ever further from the superstitions of old, tales like the Nuckelavee continue to haunt the imagination. Whether as a relic of folklore or a muse for dark fiction, it's a story that will keep its hold on us, as long as the waves crash against those rugged shores.